So am I just supposed to start, dear sister?
Yes,
Or
brother.
okay.
Yes. We'd
All
already
right.
got the context set yesterday.
Acha ji. So as I have been told to revise the Murli of the 23rd of May 1974, and the title of, or the essence of the Murli is only those who remain beyond limited attractions and personalities are true Vaishnavas. A very deep Murli, lots of beautiful points in this Murli. But what Baba is wanting us to become is true Vaishnavas. And true Vaishnavas remain beyond everything, not just the attractions of the body, attractions of the mind, attractions of Maya, attractions of the five elements, attractions towards other people, other things, everything. That's what would be called as a true Vaishnava. But Baba also talks about how we end up becoming royal effort makers. And he uses this word with a lot of pun. Yeah, I don't like to use the word sarcasm because Baba, I feel God doesn't use sarcasm, but he uses pun. You see, he uses a little bit of humor and he uses the word, therefore he uses the word royal effort makers, which really means that we are not making true effort. Making effort, but really not making. And Baba goes into that. But he starts the Murli by asking us to stabilize ourselves in a Vanpras avastha. Many of you know the word Vanpras avastha for sure because you're all old time BKs, right? Long time BKs. So Vanpras avastha in English, it gets translated into the stage of retirement. Now, there are two meanings of this. One is stage of retirement, one prasavastha, but there's also the understanding that we need to go beyond sound. Now, Vani se pare, van prasavastha. Now, when we go back to the supreme abode, we will live there as souls. No bodies, so there won't be any movement, there won't be any sound. In a way, right now, we are on a return journey. We can't go there yet physically, but we have to make the preparations, the necessary preparations to go back there. So we have to, in a way, learn the art of living in the same way as we would be living in the supreme abode, though for a very short period of time, because we would be then moving on to the golden age. So we have to practice living the way we would be living in golden age as well. But right now, Baba is not talking about that. Baba is talking about this whole experience of being in a state which is beyond any sound. Silence, total silence, inner silence, outer silence. That means that not only do I not talk too much, but I also do not think too much. And then there are sometimes we feel too much. So thinking too much leads to feeling too much, and then feeling too much then creates many words and unnecessary actions, which then we have to repent, or then we have to enter into the phase of damage control. So that is one thing, going beyond sound. But I like to also look at this as truly the stage of retirement. Baba often says that we, Baba's children, are old souls, right? We are, and truly we are, right? Baba reminds us that we have an all-round part from the golden age up till now. So we are the oldest souls, so we have to behave like the oldest souls. See, even in the world, when people get older physically, they behave more maturely. If, say, a 60-year-old person, man or woman, is playing with toys which small children play with, Barbie dolls or those small cars and things like that, what would they be called? They would be called immature, right? After a certain age, in fact, forget about playing with these, what the world, the original way of living, according to those Vedic times, is that after a certain age, people let go of their attractions and attachments to the worldly things and then go into penance, or at least they go into some of these holy places and live their lives there, free from all of those attractions and attachments. So we too have to now look at ourselves and check, am I living such a life, or am I still attracted and attached to the things of the world? Or worse still, what would be the worst thing? That I still continue to play with the toys of childhood. You see, those children have those toys, but we adults also have lots of toys that we get attached to. For example, games, video games, cell phones, our other gadgets, laptop, um, cars, houses. Sometimes we do get attached to these not just attached really, but almost like they feel like our toys. So then that wouldn't be the stage of retirement. That wouldn't be the stage of maturity. So you see, I like to see this in our classes, in my regular classes with Baba's children. I always like to talk about these two things. One is going beyond sound, but also going into a stage of maturity. That maturity would then also include emotional maturity. Then emotional maturity, now in the world, people are talking about that as resilience, that I can handle situations, I can face situations, I don't fall apart. If the things don't work my way, I don't fall apart. That would be a stage of maturity. So it would be Vanprasthamastha. But Baba is now also wanting us to make that happen, so that state of maturity and a soundless, peaceful state, we have to make that happen in a second. It can't take hours and days and weeks and months and years to get to that. And Baba says it's so easy for us to get into sound, for us to start playing around with things, but is it easy for us to go into that mature state, that soundless, peaceful state? And he knows that world is filled with lots of chaos, lots of situations which are going to test us out. Yeah, they call it as trials and tribulations that each soul has to go through. Now, despite all of those, can I remain peaceful? Can we remain in that elevated state throughout? And when there is peace, when everything is going great around us, it's very easy for us to remain peaceful. But can we maintain that same state throughout, even though things around us are not working in our favor? And there is a story which some of you may have heard, and it's a cool story to remember, that there was once a king, and he thought, let me create a competition in my kingdom for people for all the artists, or even those who are amateurs, to come up with a painting that would depict a complete peace, a perfect picture of peace. He said, I'm going to give 100 gold coins, 1,000 gold coins, whatever it might be. He was ready to give a big reward for someone who would create a perfect picture of peace. And for us too, when we think of a perfect picture of peace, what would come in our minds? Greenery, yeah, lush green pastures, maybe a bright blue sky, um, a few clouds here and there maybe, but birds in the sky, some chirping away on the trees, maybe a small rivulet or something, a stream flowing by, some sort of landscape like this, or maybe a lake where people are boating, but there is not much movement, and so on and so forth, that would be called as a perfect picture piece. And that's how many people made paintings and brought to the king. But there was one painting which was a very strange one. It was pretty black and dark, and it had uh, a waterfall that was just about to go crazy because there was torrential rain happening in that picture, and just total chaos, lightning here and there, and so on and so forth. And then the king was that there was one day that he had decided that he would display all these pictures, and then he would give the prize. And eventually, and people were thinking that why did this black, dark, gloomy painting even make it to the final round? But at the end, the king chose that painting, and nobody could understand why this happened. And the king then revealed that actually uh, people who were making all these judgments didn't look close enough. In that painting, behind that waterfall that was just about to go crazy, there was a small hole in between the rocks where there was a bird sitting in perfect peace, feeding its children. So you see, when things around us are in chaos, if we can maintain peace, that is true peace, right? When we go to the center and there's so much of peace there, or we go to Madhuban, we have this beautiful energy everywhere pervading the whole atmosphere in Madhuban. It's very easy to feel great. It's very easy to feel peaceful. But if we are at workplaces or amidst our family members who don't create peace or create peacelessness for us, if we can maintain that same state of peace, that's when that we would call that as true peace. So far so good. So let's move forward. Baba then also talks about reasons versus solutions. We become embodiments of reasons. Of this happened because of this. Someone else becomes instrumental in holding us back or in creating obstacles for us so that we are not able to reach where we hope to reach, or we are not able to achieve what we wanted to achieve. And sometimes, we become the reason for other people's obstacles, or not being able to reach where they want to reach. So I feel that we should neither get hung up onto these reasons, excuses, if you will, nor become a reason for other people to not be able to achieve what they want to achieve. And eventually we become embodiments of solution, that we are able to bring solutions to our lives. We're able to do all that we need to do despite whatever challenges are coming, but we also become embodiments of solutions for others. Then we can guide them, we can direct them, we can coach them, we can mentor them. But many times, Baba also talks about our very presence, just our presence can help people find salvation, can help people understand the solutions that they need to bring about in their lives to reach their excellence. Right? Now, Baba talks about Mahavirs. Are we Mahavirs versus we are Veers? So, Veer is great to be a warrior, but am I a true warrior, Mahavir? And someone who is totally courageous. There's nothing that can scare that person. That's so. And then he is talking about 3 stages, and these 3 stages are number wise. So the first stage, Baba is saying to be equal. The Baba wants us to be equal. I think this is something which really touched me right from the beginning when I came to Baba. No one in the world wants anyone to become equal to him or her. Everyone wants the other person, however good that person would be, would want that person to be second best, not as good. But here Baba wants us to be equal, completely equal to him. But then there is a second stage, that is to be close. And then the third stage is to be in front of. Now, what do we like? It's great to be close. It's great to be in front of Baba. Yeah, no kidding, right? We are standing in front of God. What can be better than that? Or we are close to God. That's amazing too. But when we aim to be at the highest level that Baba wants us to be, that is being equal to God, equal to Himself. But what is that? The sign of those who are equal is that they're able to do whatever they want, whenever they want, and however they want in a second. It is very easy to give ourselves the labels, or the accolades that, you know what, Baba, I'm not in front of you, I'm not close to you, I'm actually equal to you. I've reached there. For me, I want, I'm like you now. Sometimes we may have that ego, but Baba is saying, then I have to, demonstrate the ability to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and however I want in a second. Yeah. Most of the times we end up not being able to do it because of some reason, again, some situation. Somebody is not helping us, not supporting us. That's why we can't do, we couldn't do. These are the excuses we keep making. So then we really are not equal to the Father. So Baba is saying the second stage is of being able to set themselves in a few seconds. So first stage in a second, the second stage in seconds, a longer period of time, and third is in few hours to few days. So then Baba says those who are equal to the Father, he is explaining a little more, who are constantly equal to the Father, know and accept the importance of the self, the importance of all the powers of the self. Who am I? What do I hold within myself? And then Baba says, the number-wise stage of all the effort makers and the importance of the donation of virtues. So such a soul would have total understanding of what is going on, which number effort am I, or is that person, is that soul, and other souls as well. The importance of the donation of virtues, the donation of the wealth of knowledge, and of one's own time. See, that soul would have the importance of the donation of virtues, the donation of the wealth of knowledge, and of one's own time. They are embodiments of knowledge who know their own actions, their sanskaras, and their nature. Many times we say, oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know this aspect of my personality. I didn't know that I would react this way. This was a hidden sanskar that just manifested itself in that moment. Or maybe sometimes we say, this is how I am. I know it, but there's nothing I can do about it. So such a soul will not say all these things. So what do we have to become? Not one who is in front of Baba, not one who's close to Baba, but really equal to Baba. Because if I'm equal to Baba, then I'll also be in front of Baba. I'll also be close to Baba. But then I'll have to check what are the things that would qualify me to be close to Baba, and then eventually to be equal to Baba. Then I should be able to do whatever I want, whenever, however, in a second, not in few seconds, not in hours and days, but in a second, that I understand about myself, I understand about all the powers that I hold, I understand other people's efforts, I understand the importance of the donation of virtues and donation of wealth, donation of my own time, and also I understand I am an embodiment of knowledge of my own actions, sanskaras, and my nature, right? So Baba is asking, have you become some such embodiments of knowledge? We all love to relate to knowledge, we love to listen to knowledge, but am I able to stabilize myself in that stage? Now here, Baba is now transitioning into wanting us to become true Vaishnavas. how do true Vaishnavas live their lives? Baba is reminding us that even in the world, Vaishnavas, that's the community um, in India, I guess, they may have come to different parts of the world, but those Vaishnavas, the older Vaishnavas that Baba talks about, the worldly Vaishnavas, pardon me, the worldly Vaishnavas, they don't allow some souls or souls that they feel are below them to touch them. In fact, I have heard that they don't, some of them are um, so stringent, if you will, that they wouldn't allow even the shadow of a lower caste person to fall upon themselves. And if it does fall accidentally on them, the shadow, they'll quickly go and take a bath and come out. So what do we have to do? What do we have to become? Not those kind of Vaishnavas who are running to take a shower every now and then. Rather, true Vaishnavas. And what is Baba saying? What is the definition of a true Vaishnava? That the thoughts, that not even the thoughts, forget about anything else, not even the thoughts of such a soul should be touched by any personality or by the attraction of limited attainments. Yeah, we get very impressed by people, we get very influenced by people. Oh, so and so speaks very well, so and so dances very well, so and so sings very well, so and so does this and that, or whatever. So we get attracted by those personalities, or sometimes, oh, if I do this, I'm going to get this. And those attainments, even many times they could be, alokik attainments, but sometimes we get stuck even in those alokik attainments. One is worldly attainments, money and job, and of course that's necessary, but we get stuck in those, and sometimes we even get stuck in alokik attainments. So true Vaishnava is one who is untouched, completely untouched. Yes, see here, those Vaishnavas, Papa is saying, if they get touched by people or certain things, they consider it a sin. You are the true Vaishnavas. So that's our title, that's our Swaman. We are true Vaishnavas, whose activities according to your name, and those who become embodiments of whatever thoughts have. Can anyone have the courage even to touch such Vaishnavas? See, it's so interesting now. Baba is taking us into this very deep understanding that one thing is we do not allow ourselves to be touched by these things. But now think of it, how Baba wants us to be powerful enough, powerful Vaishnavas, powerful true Vaishnavas, that others or the people in the world don't even have the courage to touch us. You see? Take a couple of moments to let this beautiful point percolate into your consciousness. Let yourself understand what true Vaishnav means. See yourself as a true Vaishnav. Let the image become very clear for you. You are a true Vaishnav who is totally untouched by anything. But not only untouched, no one around you has the courage to touch you. Now Baba is taking us even deeper. Sometimes, and most times for us Baba's children, we are not attracted by physical things. We are not attracted by people many times. So there are no mm, big sins that we commit, but then there are subtle sins, small sins. Our minds getting pulled towards something or someone, and that becomes a subtle sin. So here Baba is saying such subtle sins become instrumental in preventing you souls from reaching your elevated stage. Because sin means a burden, it does not allow you to become an angel. It does not allow you to stabilize in the seed stage or in the stage beyond sound. Yeah, Baba many times gives the example, right, of a plane that is about trying to take off, but there is just too much luggage in it, too much stuff on it. It's too heavy, then it won't be able to launch itself. It won't be able to take off. So we do want to take off, right? We all want to rise to our highest levels, to our excellence. So how do we do that? We have to become light. We have to get rid of the burdens. We have to free ourselves from these subtle sins. Here Baba is now telling there are many who call themselves Maharathis. Again, this is fun. A true Maharathi will not have to struggle. But then there are some people who call themselves as Maharathis, but then they talk to Baba at Amrit Vela with filled with complaints. Those conversations are filled with complaints. Why am I not experiencing the powerful stage? And so Baba is reminding us that the reason for all this is subtle sin. And then, of course, those five vices, when we become subservient to those five vices, that would be big sin, major sin. But then Baba is saying, here, see, I'll read this. It is easy to understand and conquer the five vices, but now an important point, it to remain beyond the attraction of the five elements takes special effort for the Maharathis. Yeah, so it is very possible that we have gone beyond anger and shouting and screaming and kicking and biting, but we have gone beyond, greed. And if there are lots of gulab jamun sitting in the fridge, we are not pulled towards them, or or attachment to our family members, or to possessions, the big attachments, the big things. Maybe we have freed ourselves from those, we have conquered them reasonably well, but many times this subtle attraction to the five elements of nature. Baba has many times told us that one of the biggest conglomerate, really, of all the five elements is this body. So if I am pulled by the body, pulled into the body, then that would be called as being subservient to the five elements too. See, practically, if you think, Baba has today's Avyak Murli, if you think, I'm sure you have read that. For you, it is today is Sunday, right? For you, so you'll be reading that. I was reading this Avyak Murli for the group here, because we switched Saturday and Sunday, so we read Sunday's Murli today on Saturday. And in that, Baba is talking about all the souls who came to meet Baba, for the 18th January, I think it was 18 January 1974's Murli, where the Gyan Sarovar's main hall was being inaugurated.
It's 95, I think.
95, was it 95? Thank you. So Baba talks about how people came to be part of that gathering, and it was so cold. And despite the cold, 18 January 1995, so despite all the cold, the bitter cold. There were souls who were sitting outside the hall. They were braving that, the wind and everything. But many times we nowadays, especially because of all the comforts that we have in the world, we tend to become lazy. We tend to allow these five elements to create obstacles for us. Oh, it is too hot, it's too cold, it's too wet, it's too dry, it's too dark, it's too bright, right? Many times, I will ask souls, why don't you go to your center? Oh, it's winter, so it's too cold. Then the spring would come and say, why don't you go in spring? There are too many pollen, so we have allergies. Then summer, oh, it's getting too hot. How do we go? But today was perfect weather. Oh no, it rained a little bit, so how could I go? So many times we allow ourselves to be affected by the five elements of nature. So if I can rise beyond all of these, not just the five major vices, but also these five elements, that's really when I'll be called a true Maharathi. Is someone saying something? Is somebody's mic unmuted? Nobody's saying. Yes, and that's why Baba is saying the true Vijay Dashmi, the true victory would be when we are able to conquer or cut away all of these 10 heads. I know many times Baba says that 10 heads of Ravan mean 5 of male, 5 of female, right? That's one interpretation. But the other, sometimes Baba says there are 5 big vices and then the children of the vices, right? And someone has come up with a list of those, like irritability and I think one of which would be laziness and backbiting, some of these, somebody was very creative in coming up with the 5 children of these 5 major vices. Or dislike, hatred. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate, some of these qualities. You can come up with your own, permutation combinations of 5 subtle vices. But here today, Baba is talking about the 5 actual vices as the 5 heads. Yeah, thank you, jealousy. Yeah. And also the 5 elements of nature. So if I can conquer that and I can conquer these, that's when I'll be called as a true Maharathi. So if it is dark outside, am I scared? If it is bright, then I'm scared. There's a soul, a very, very nice soul, but the soul during the daytime can't go to the center because says that when the sun is bright, it affects my skin. And then I said, but okay, you can go in the evening, but evening I get scared. I'm afraid of dark. So what does that mean? That soul is completely subservient to the 5 elements of nature. Right? So that's what we have to stop ourselves from. We have to really check ourselves that am I a true effort maker or am I just a royal effort maker? That I need everything perfect. Only then I'll be able to meditate. Only then I'll be able to do service. Only then I'll be able to go to the center. I think somebody's microphone is unmuted if you all want to. I think I fixed it. Yeah. Okay, so royal effort maker. Again, Baba is reminding us royal, and then Baba is attaching the word royal to royalty. So what Baba, on one hand, we know what is royalty, but then there is another royalty. We know that, like, we have to pay royalty, we have to pay a fine. So Baba is saying, if I am an effort maker who is not a true one, but rather a royal effort maker, that is one who makes excuses because of the 5 elements of nature, then I will end up having to pay royalties as I pass through the Dharmaraj stage. As I'll have to pay fines. So Baba is reminding us that true royal difference between true royalty and royal effort makers, the false royalty, and that is not real. This is all mixture. So we have to stop playing these games. Again, it is our stage of retirement. Remember, we are vanprasthis, we are mature souls, so we cannot play these games. Because then in these games, like children would play seesaw, go up, come down, go up, come down. Baba is reminding us that our stage will also go up and down. 1 minute we would be heroes, we're feeling great, we're on the top of the world, and the next moment we'll feel like we're zeros, nothing, fallen apart, completely broken. Yes, that's what is the state of being a fearless soul. Sometimes we become fearless, sometimes we become afraid. No, we have to become true effort makers who are not afraid of anything. So here Baba is saying, never go into company of such royal effort makers. They have received from Maya in the form of a blessing the speciality of influencing and bringing into their company those souls who are under the influence of Maya and souls who are effort making souls. Yeah. So these souls have the, then become, or I would then become sort of obstacles for other people's growth. I will pull other people towards me. Royal effort maker, because it gives a temporary feeling of great state, a false kind of an image, which will become very attractive for others. And the others, in a way, think about it, that they may not get attracted to me physically, they may not want to follow me, that, the traditional way. But somewhere, souls will then have this feeling, if this soul can get away with it, then why should I not do it? So we become, negative images for others to follow. Yeah, so Baba is saying that that company becomes the worst bog. So neither should we become like that, nor should we come in contact, or we should come close to such souls who are royal effort makers. Right? So this is where Baba ends the Murli. He's saying she remain constantly cautious of such company and be clever in front of it. Maya is also at the present time engaged in creating a rosary of such royal effort makers. And what I like about Baba is, Baba in the beginning did remind us that we should not become royal effort makers. When he's saying this, see this line, he's not pointing to us. He's trying to tell us to stay away from the company of such souls. But think of it for a moment. Sometimes we can also become such royal effort makers that we create obstacles for others. So in a way, we have to be away from our own company, the wrong company. There are two sides of us, right? And there's a big possibility that we continue to still have two sides to our personality. One is a true effort maker personality, and the other is a false effort maker personality, right? It's very possible we may still have those, two-sided personalities within ourselves. Now, if I have this negative royal effort maker personality still as a part of me, then I have to learn the art of detaching myself from that and not becoming that, not going into that. So I have to free myself from that company. I have, or my own negative company, and I have to free myself from the negative company of such royal effort makers around the world. Yes. So with that, Baba ends the Murli. Baba reminds us, in the blessing, when he brings everything together, he says, to such constant and true effort makers, right? Not royal effort makers, true effort makers, and not intermittent effort makers. Today I'll do it, tomorrow I won't do it. There should be consistency, constancy, and consistency in our effort. To such constant and true effort makers, to those who remain honest with the true Father. Yeah, royal effort makers would not be called as becoming or remaining honest with the Father. To those who remain constantly distant from the attraction of the five vices and the five elements, say, for a moment, hold this thought for yourself. I am free from all attractions of the five elements and, of course, the five vices. And then Baba is taking us back to the first part of the Murli, that can we stabilize ourselves in the stage beyond sound? We are in sound right now, speaking, listening, and that we go beyond sound, completely disconnected from the five sense organs that we have. So neither can we hear anything, nor we speak anything. To those who constantly remained in the company of the Father, to those who remain in the company of the truth and who remain detached from wasteful company, that is the company of royal effort makers, I would say to the lovely children of such a Father, Bapdada's love, remembrance, good morning and namaste. So with so much of love, he's giving us salutations. Om Shanti. So with this, I end so that all of you get an opportunity to say what you wish to say, or if you want to ask something, you may.
Om Shanti, brother. Yeah, I liked only the first part where going beyond sound. And that's the whole crux of the Murli, where Baba said, how do I become an embodiment of knowledge, peace, remembrance, virtues, in whatever be the situation, whatever be the circumstances, whatever be the storms, I should be unshakable, constant, and peaceful. But what hit me, and I'm still churning on that Murli even for 1 week, is where the new kind of Vijayadashmi Baba spoke of. I had shared this even earlier. As you rightly said, we know the 10 heads of Ravana, 5 this wise, that wise. But today, when Baba is mentioned about the 5 elements as one of the 5 heads, I was just trying to churn. In fact, I tried to find out what is this, because we know there are various kind of Jeet, Karmindya Jeet, Maya Jeet, but Baba also speaks about Prakriti Jeet. And today, first time in the Murli, it has been referred to as the 5 heads. So we have gone across only thing in environment, healing the environment, understanding the environment, attitudes affect the environment, all that we have seen. We know also reusing, recycling, refreshing and all. But what is that 5 thing here in this Murli, which Baba is saying, I should not be attracted. I should conquer, specifically the 5 elements. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti Vaiji, a wonderful Murli with great lessons for the soul to practice and become a true Maharati and Prakriti Pati and a true Vaishnavite. I think Baba expects us to be the unlimited Vaishnavite, where the stage is so unlimited, elevated, that we are the creator of the Prakriti, the five elements. We are the master creators, in fact, Baba being the creator. When we are in his company, definitely these five elements, they work as per our wishes, and they become subservient to us in setting up of the divine world, the Satyugi world. Beautiful Murli, and a wonderful churning you brought out, Bhaiji. I think every word of it is a great treasure. Thank you, Baba. Om Shanti.
Thank you, dear brother.
Point, brother, that you brought towards the end of the Murli, where Baba is talking to us to not to get connected with all effort makers, and where you mentioned that also check for yourself. Within you, there are two personalities, and check and change that as well. Maybe you are yourself in the company of a royal effort maker at the self level. I think that's the takeaway point, a very, very powerful point for one to check. And that's the practice for me. Om Shanti.
Yes, dear sister.
Just one reflection where we are turning on this, our own self becoming a royal effort maker. I think that's where the Baba speaks about the two words manmat and manmat kind of thing, where my mind, intellect, and sanskars are not aligned with Baba completely. Then there's a possibility of I only being on the wrong track, and then considering myself to be a effort maker, perfect effort maker. So there the mistake can go. There could be mistake. So I have to constantly keep checking whether I'm equal to father or not in my mind, intellect, and sanskars. And that's a real challenge where Baba gives that subtleness. The subtle checking is a matter. Om Shanti.
Yes, dear brother. And I think Sister Girja has asked a question: how do we gain victory? How do we heal and understand the five elements? It's a very good question. What I have realized that the more I rise beyond the body, in what I mean is not literally, because that's not happening right now, that can't happen, but in my consciousness, in my mind, in my awareness, I see myself as a soul. The more and more I do that, the more I'll be able to free myself from the pulls, the attraction of the body. Now, the more I am free from the attraction of the body, the more I will also be free from the five elements that surround me. You see, even the soul, the soul, you see, it's first and foremost surrounded by the five elements of nature that exists in the body itself. So I am constantly in the company of my body and me. So these five elements in the form of this body are what pull me first. But if I am able to practice remaining detached from the body, seeing myself as a soul as much as possible, constantly, in fact, over time, then I will be able to free myself from these five elements. But that will get mirrored, in the way I interact with the five elements of nature. So those five elements of nature will not pull me. Yeah. So, many times maybe it is possible that we don't get affected by heat and cold and this and that. But, sometimes if we are sick, if I'm having, so let's say you're having a headache, are you able to meditate then? Or maybe you're having a tummy ache. Maybe you just bumped your knee, before the 7 to 7:30 meditation, you just bumped your knee against the wall or door or whatever. Now your knee is hurting. Now meditate. Can you free yourself from that? See, the more you can free yourself from all of that, the more you'll be able to heal your body itself, but we get stuck. Oh no, now I'm hurting too much. Now I have fever, so I can't get up for meditation. I can't do Amrit Vela. I can't go to the center. Yeah, that happens, right, to all of us. So can I free myself from all of these? But the only way I can do that is when I see myself as a soul. I'm a soul, I'm a soul, I'm a soul. Yeah, I invite you to hold that thought for a moment. I am a soul, nothing but a soul, not this body. And that's when the soul can do anything. It can achieve the unachievable. It can reach the pinnacle of its existence. It can become a paragon of excellence. No? Because otherwise the body will constantly keep pulling us down. Today it is headache, tomorrow it is heat, third day it is fever, fourth day it is cough, fifth day it is something else. We'll go from one problem to the other, one reason to the other, one excuse to the other. We'll never become embodiments of solutions for ourselves and never become embodiments of solutions for others. How Dadi Janki used to say, all these 5 elements are actually working in our favor, and we can see them working in our favor. And one time Sister Moini was telling that they were going somewhere for service, and that soul had a very nice boat. His house was next to a lake, and so that soul took everyone on his boat. And as they were in that small lake, or less than a lake, probably semi-lake, or a small lake, we have many small lakes in US. And so as they were enjoying the weather, suddenly it started raining, and everybody's like, oh, let's meditate so the rain goes away. But and then she was sharing that how there was this realization for her that, I think it was Sister Moy, or someone was saying, some senior sister. So pardon me, if it is someone else who said that. But one of the seniors, one of the major instruments of the Yagya was sharing how there was this realization that why are we hoping for that? Why are we hoping that the rain stops? Rain is great too. Why are we hoping that the sun, doesn't shine that brightly? That's great too. Why are we hoping that it's not so windy? Wind is great too. Why are we hoping that it's not so cold? Cold is great too. So when we look at all these 5 elements as our friends, and there was one class by Brother Mohan Singhal-ji. I loved that class. Many years back I had heard, and he was Brother Mohan Singhal-ji. He had said that that how we have to make these 5 elements our friends, and the way we can do that, friendship happens in like-minded, or those who have same qualities. So if I want to become friends with water, I have to become like water. In other words, I have to create qualities within myself which are similar to the qualities of water. If I want to become friends with wind, I have to create qualities within myself which are similar to that of wind, like the sun, and so on and so forth. The 5 elements. So the more I see myself as a soul, the more I also try to become similar, start to create within myself similar qualities, like the 5 elements. The more I'll become like the 5 elements, and I'll conquer the 5 elements. Okay, I think we're getting close to being done. 5 minutes more left. Yes, Sakash, why not? Yes. Great. Thank you very much. I agree. 5, you can give Sakash to the 5 elements. I see Rachna Ben has raised her hand, I guess. And I think Rakhi Ben also unmuted for a moment. Pardon me if you want to say something.
Let Rachna Ben share her bit of it. Yes, Rachna Ben, you can go ahead.
Om Shanti, brother. I wanted to clarify one thing, that Baba today has explained the 3 stages of being close to equal, close, and in front. So, are these 3 stages of Mahavir or Maharati souls? And if I find myself that in certain situations or in certain issues, I'm able to stabilize myself in a second. In others, I take a few more seconds. And yet, there are other cases where I take actually the time that Baba has mentioned in the third category. So, how do I analyze myself? Which category soul am I? I have to then put my stage as Chandravanshi, or am I a royal Purusharthi, or am I a Maharati soul, just fluctuating between the 3 stages? Can you give me some clarity on this?
That's a lovely question, sister. I congratulate you. I appreciate you for such a lovely question. See, in a way, although this might, pardon me if it pinches, but in a way, we are all royal effort makers, and we are constantly finding ourselves subservient to things around us, to the 5 elements of nature. So yes, we are royal effort makers, and Baba is wanting to pull us out of that, because otherwise we will end up paying royalties or fines to Dharmraj. But also, rather than getting bogged down by that understanding, what we can do is see ourselves as Maruti souls. And yes, we would vacillate between being Maruti and not being Maruti, or totally not being Maruti. Some days we'll fall apart. We'll be totally subservient to everything around us, but that's okay. As we hold the thought, hold the consciousness that we are Maruti souls, eventually we will fluctuate less. We'll not venture into being close or in front, but we will stay in that area, in that circle of being equal to the Father. Yes, Rachna, you're 100% right. We do that, all of us, we do that a little bit. Yeah, and I appreciate your honesty in sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Means I'll have to hold the power of good hope in myself and keep striving and moving ahead. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. And this was one Murli which had attracted my attention amongst all the other Murlis. And I'm very happy that this was chosen for today's masterclass. Thank you, Baba, and thank you to you and all the others. Thank you. Shanti.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Rachna Ben, because that was one thing which I was about to ask. How do I distinguish between a close and an equals effort maker space? Where do I see? And you asked a beautiful question which answered my question as well. So thank you so much for that. And as Rachna Ben said, and I'd voiced out to Shwetang Bhai yesterday while we were speaking, that this is one Murli where I'm confused. So this has been a lot of learning from today's session that you clarified, especially those 5 elements and the thing that we were discussing yesterday. What are those 10 things that Baba is speaking about in this Murli? So thanks for such a wonderful session.
The honor
And
is mine, Rakhiman. Thank you.
we can move on to a short meditation.
Yes. Yes, let's see ourselves as Marathis. Let's see ourselves as conquerors of the 5 elements of nature, along with conquerors of the 5 vices, as true Vaishnavas, as constant and true effort makers. Totally equal to the Father. No attraction to anyone or anything. Nothing in the universe can pull us down. Nothing in the universe can hold us back. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Shwetangbai. Thank you, Divine Family. And we meet tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.